And tonight's number is $10.10, which has been the new campaign and the new campaign mantra that we've heard all over this United States. Americans crying out and asking for this country to pass a living wage or raise the minimum wage. Now, this bill has faced its defeat a couple of times in the United States House of Representatives because they don't believe in raising the minimum wage there, because they think we should all work and suffer and eat roadkill. Yes, America, is true. But Democrats and progressives have something to say about that. So over the past couple weeks, a number of progressive rock stars, all-stars, elected officials, whatever you want to call them, have taken on the challenge to engage in what they call the minimum wage challenge, right? So you have Ted Strickland, Barbara Lee, Mark Takano, just to name a few folks, representatives and governors, who said we are going to live on minimum wage for a couple of weeks and see exactly, for a week. And Ted Strickland is one of them, and he was recently, they asked him some questions about living under minimum wage, and he said, I don't think I can make it, is what he told Politico Magazine just a couple days ago. For his challenge, he will live on allotted $77 for food, transportation, and other basics. The amount is supposed to be what is left over after housing and taxes for somebody who earns the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour, or $290 for 40 hours of work per week. Strickland has tried to keep his expenses down, but he said he'd run out of cash by Thursday. For the week, I walked as much as I possibly could to avoid paying transportation costs. I skipped meals to save money, and I ate much smaller and less healthier meals when I did eat, he told Politico Magazine. And he went on to say, because fresh fruits and vegetables are hard to find at a price within the minimum wage budget, I turned to bread, peanut butter, bananas, and bologna, and more than anything else. And this is what tells you the struggle that these families go through and these Americans go through on an everyday basis. And it doesn't matter whether they're African American or Latino American or white American. And I think a lot of times in our culture what we try to do, and sometimes I'm even guilty of it, of creating this us versus them dichotomy, whether it's us black people versus us Latinos versus us poor whites. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And while some things, like police brutality and like, school closures, affect one group or another group more than other things, when it comes to poverty, poverty basically doesn't discriminate, right? It doesn't matter what race you are. You will end up, there are people in every race that are poor, right? And the only way we can solve poverty is by people coming together to fix it, meaning Congress needs to come together and raise the minimum wage. Or maybe companies need to come together like Subway or like Gap and say, we're going to raise the minimum wage for our workers. We have to lead by example here. We can't lead into trends or lead into silos. We need to lead by example and say we're all in this together, whether you are a poor Caucasian woman who lives in Appalachia, or you are a poor black man who lives in Los Angeles. We are in this fight together. We are working on this fight together, and that is why members of Congress and elected officials from all across the country, no matter what their race is, came together and said, we're going to solve poverty, but the only way we're going to do it is by leading by example. So we're going to see what it is to live on $77 a day, or $77 a week, excuse me, for a week long. And see how they struggle, and see that you can't buy fresh fruits. You can't buy an apple, you can't buy a banana. And you have to skip meals to live. Just imagine if you had children on that same salary, just for a second. Just see what that would feel like, see what that would look like. And that just calls us all to get informed, to get empowered, and to fight not only to get our voices back, but to get the voices back of millions of Americans whose voices they've been ostracized from the choir, they've been kicked out of the music room, and their voices are not being heard by their elected officials, nor is their voices being heard by the American people. And that is what we need to fix in this country more so than anything else.